16 billion login credentials have been exposed, marking one of the largest breaches in history. Cybercriminals now have unprecedented access to sensitive information, raising concerns about identity theft and phishing attacks. For more, let's head to Adelaide now. We're joined by Jacqueline Jane, online safety specialist and host of Ticker Clicks. I'm sitting in your studio today. Great to see you, JJ. Talk to us about the 16 billion passwords leaked. How serious is the threat now to individuals and to businesses?
I think the most interesting part about this, Aaron, is that most of this data is existing data. So there's been a little bit of a media headline clickbait. However, it's not a negative. And it's not a negative because it goes to show the amount of data that's actually already out there on us all. And whilst there might be elements of new information, it potentially could be double ups. So what I mean by that, this is your name, your first name, last name, passwords, potentially usernames as well, and more information that someone could use for identity theft in the future. This type of breach and the quantity of data we're seeing, and it is being talked about globally, is a wake-up call for everyone that they really do need to do some very basic things to protect themselves.
Let's talk about those basic things, because you mentioned there was a bit of a fright. I know some people who spent their entire weekend changing passwords and now needing to log into everything all over again. You talk about this being one of those times where we need to take heed of our security. What should we be doing?
Well, first thing I recommend for everyone is to go to the Have I Been Pwned website, and I'll make sure a link comes through for everyone. But if you type in Have I Been Pwned, it's the word owned with a P in the beginning. So haveibeenpwned.com. It is a safe website to go to. Put your email address in and it will tell you what data breaches that email address has been part of in the past. Now, Troy Hunt, who has created that site many years ago, used to work for Microsoft. He's an Aussie, amazing individual in this space. Even he is checking the data to see, and he's also confirmed that the majority of it is existing. What we need to do is make sure that if we are reusing passwords, we stop that practice right now. That is number one. Number two is think about getting a password manager. You can find out more information on that. I can talk a whole day about password managers. I highly recommend them.
Please don't. So
no, I'm going to, Aaron. It is a really important thing. And I will argue, and I'll die on this hill, if you don't have that many to remember, you're young, you're older, and you don't leave home, get a password book. It's absolutely fine. Yes, Officeworks sell them, no plug, no, nothing intended there, but you can get a password book. But a password manager enables you to know and have the understanding that there's a level of safety there from a reusing of passwords. The second most important thing that people must be doing today is in implementing something called 2FA, or two-factor authentication. Now,
I would have thought that would have helped here. So the whole two-factor authentication, and this has been my response, is that if you have it turned on everywhere, if someone does have your password, that's one part of it, but they probably don't have your phone in their hands as well to be able to receive it, which gives you that kind of certain level, because the reality is most people use the same or similar versions of a password. I saw a comedian once saying that, you know, it was kind of your dog's name and then they added a number so it became one, and then they added a mark so it became an exclamation mark, and everyone's password, and everyone's laughing in the audience because they're going, yeah, that's me. It's Sammy, one exclamation mark. But the idea of two-factor authentication, is that something that essentially means that passwords aren't as compromised as they could be?
Well, the passwords remain the same. It's an additional process. So an analogy I like to use is when you come home to your house, you open the screen door first, unlock that. That's your first layer of protection. That's your username and password. When you open that door, then there's the deadlock. So the deadlock is like the two-factor authentication. It's another level to get into the house. So with a device, we recommend, we being the cybersecurity community, use what's called a third-party authenticator app. I know, it's a lot. There's Google Authenticator and Microsoft Authenticator that I can recommend. What it means is, let's take Facebook for an example. When you log in, username, password, that is your first layer and you're in. If a cyber criminal has those two pieces of information, they can now take over your Facebook. However, if you implement 2FA, via Facebook, so you need to be logged in to make this happen. When you've enabled it, it means that once you've done that first layer of username, password, and then click log in, it will prompt you to say, well, I now need a code. That code comes from that authenticator app, and it changes every 30 seconds. It's a 6-digit code, and you put that in. To your point, if the cyber criminal has your device and your username and password, then yes, they can take over your Facebook account and any other accounts you have. But the chances of that are pretty slim. So this is where having two-factor authentication everywhere is excellent. Because for me, when I heard about this breach, I thought, well, that's okay. I've got MFA or 2FA. It's also known multi-factor authentication. I've got that. And if I was aware of something that an account that I've got, could be my financial institution, if they suffered a breach, I would automatically go in and change that password via my password manager tool. It's annoying, but it's a level of comfort that the people who were freaking out over the weekend didn't have, or during the week when this news broke.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you are the queen of password and ideas. We always appreciate your insights, of course, and you can catch JJ on Ticker Clicks right here on Ticker. Talk to you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.